Hi everyone, I'm Nikki of Nikki Hearts Cards, and today I'm here with a fun Slimline Lawn Fawn card. We're going to be looking at these precious goats, the barn, some fun stuff with the letters. We're going to have a great time. So I hope that if you hadn't done it yet, you will make sure and hit the subscribe button on the ScrapbookPal channel, and we'll get into this card. I want to show you these sets up close in case you haven't gotten to look at them. This is the goat set. It's called You Goat This. So we're going to use a lot of these little goats and hay bales. And then they have a new set of alphabet dies that are called Henry's ABCs. And this is the Build-A-Barn, which is an add-on for Build a House. I was able to make all of my barn just with this die though. So I don't think you have to have the Build a House die. And then I've also got these little bitty reveal wheel, tiny farm people, and we're going to put those up in the top window. I'm going to start with the background and show you how I made this. I did not use a ton of colors, but it just looks so cute. So I used the Cloudy stencil. This is a Lawn Fawn stencil, and this is for a regular size card. They do have one for a slimline, but I'm putting my card in that vertical orientation, so it's very easy to use their original option. So I'm just going to do some ink blending with Salty Ocean to make my sky. So I'm going to skip ahead until I'm almost finished with this and show you what I did. So I'm using the Waffle Flower Media Mat to kind of add that little bit of ink right there, and it just really helps hold your paper down. I didn't use any type of adhesive for this stencil or for the paper. Now, the nice thing about this mat is you can add a little bit of extra ink to it, and then you can add some water and do your splatters. So, you know, it just really gives you a lot of space, and it really helps do that. So I have a brush that I love for splatter. It's just a paintbrush that seemed to do a good job for that. And so I'm going to splatter some darker blue over this, let it dry, and then I'm going to come back and splatter it with some white acrylic paint. For the grass, what I did is cut another sheet out of this same Bristol Smooth paper. I'm going to use my grassy Hillside dies, which are also Lawn Fawn. The thing that I cut this out with, the big Slimline die, is also Lawn Fawn. All that stuff will be listed in the description so that you can get to it. But I went on and cut out, and the reason I cut from this piece is because I want the edges of my grass to have that scalloped look so that they fit together with the card well. And you can see once they're cut apart that I'm going to be able to line these up with the edge of the card really easily because they have that nice scallop. So now we're going to ink blend these. So I thought I would start with Twisted Citron, but I ended up just going on and doing the darker parts, and I did that with Mowed Lawn and decided I really liked that color better. So I ended up not using Twisted Citron on this and just doing different amounts of Mowed Lawn. So of course on the little blades of grass, I did it a little darker, and then I faded it down. And I did that for each piece. Then we're gonna, to keep it consistent, use some dark splatter from this same color and add some white acrylic once that dries. So I'm going to go ahead and put this together, and you'll see it easily matches up because it's got those little scalloped ends so you can build your card front. I usually get this part started and done, especially my ink blending, because I've got to do the splatter, so I tend to do that as the first part of my card. The other thing, when you are figuring out how you're going to get these Lawn Fawn cards done, the next thing that I would do besides doing your background is stamp tons of images so that you can start trying to figure out how many you're going to need, maybe even color them all so you've got lots of options. That really helps me when I'm doing a Lawn Fawn card. So you can see I got pretty much every image that I could fit here and went on and started stamping. And I usually do myself probably a couple of sheets worth of images, and I don't always color them all, but I get them stamped in case I realize the card fits a different image than what I already have. So I feel like this is a good way to kind of minimize how much you're having to do. So I'm using the Lawn Fawn ink, and that is in a black Copic friendly ink. So use that, and then I'm going to let it dry for a little while and color it. So we'll start with the hay bales. I wanted to let you know what colors I'm going to use, and I'm going to pop those at the bottom because for some reason I just completely forgot to put my caps out this time, and it's always hard for me to remember that. I think I just don't want to lose my tops, so sometimes I forget to put them face down. So let me pop those up so that you got the colors. I also colored some gray goats, but I really liked how these brown goats look, so I end up using them. Their base color is E11. Then I go in with E13 to give a little bit of shading. And what I decided to do with these was to make the adult a little bit darker than the baby goat. So with the baby goats, I try to keep it E11 and E13. With the adult goats, I do some highlights, especially in their little spots, with E15. So this little goat, I think, turns out so cute. I really like this one for some reason. I love his little beard. So I added that E15 and I've done my little goat. Now, one thing that I do that I like sometimes when I feel like the images just need something else is I add little dots of the colors that I've already used. So I use the E13, which is that mid-level, and I just feel like it gives them more a sense of having some fur. It just adds a little bit of interest to them. So I'm just adding these little dots, and I'm going to add some even in the spotted area of the goats. So I'm going to do this to all my goats. You see, I've already done my baby goat up there. He's got little dots, but he's good. So let's move to our other big goat and add some dots. See how cute that little baby one is? Oh my goodness. And this little baby I did a little darker. So I kind of just tried to give myself some variation in the color of these goats. You know, no goat is the same. And so I am adding different colors, but all of them have a combination of E11, E13, and E15. I will say my little bitty baby goat that's super light up there will only have the E15 on his hooves, but everybody else has all three colors. Now for the colors that I've used on everything here, I didn't want to go over all the coloring with you, but for the colors, I have listed them all in the description. So if you want to know what Copic colors I used on something like the flower or the pig, they are all listed in the description so that you can see them and you'll have that information. So next I'm going to build this barn. So the die is called Build-A-Barn, and it is like the Build-A-House if you've ever seen that. So it's got 2 stories. You could always cut it down and just use 1 story of the barn. I cut out my barn out of a red textured cardstock and my roof out of a gray, and then everything else I'm going to do in white and just use Copic markers to fill in any colors. The little barn doors open, and so do the top. So what goes around that top open hole is some shutters that open too, so it's really cute for the recipient. Here's an up close of those shutters. They do have a score line so that you know where to bend them back and open them. And that opening also fits a reveal wheel if you have that interactive element. So you can have it where it spins and different things show up in that little hole there, which is really cute. It's like they're looking through the window. So today we're going to do our open shutter up top with a little pig in it. And then we're just going to put the little farmer coming out of the door at the bottom. One thing I thought this little house needed, or little barn needed, was just a little bit of black soot distress ink along the edges. I think that barns are rarely ever this bright and shiny, and so I just thought that adding that little bit of shadow towards the edge really gave it some depth. So yes, you could do this before you glued things on, but for some reason I just didn't think about it until after, so I'm using this teeny little brush and just adding a little bit of black soot to give it some more dimension. So I glued behind my open door a little bit of ink blending with mustard seed so it looked like light was coming out the door. I did the same thing behind the pig, so that little piece of white square right there has some mustard seed on it, so it looks like there's also light from the top window. And then I'm going to glue all my other pieces on and we will get this card put together. So for the sentiment I used hay there, and I thought it's so appropriate to make your hay look like hay. So we're doing mustard seed again because that's a great color for this card. And we're going to ombre these letters. The word there I used from the stamp set, and I heat embossed it on a piece of the gray cardstock that I used on the roof of the barn, and I used white embossing. So I went on and put my hay there where it's going to be to make sure I've got enough space because this is a tall barn. This is a standard slimline size, and we're going to glue everything down. This is the other reason that I say color lots of images, because you never really know At least I never really know what exactly I'm going to do with the card until I start laying it out. And so it's nice to have those images cut out and ready so that I can put the card together. And generally, I try to make sure I've got at least 3 elements, so at least 3 goats, at least 3 of everything. I usually keep my things in odd numbers. So just that's, if you're like, I don't know how many I need to stamp, that's a good rule of thumb, is to give you some options. And also, if you mess something up coloring, it's just nice to have those things pre-stamped and ready. So, and I'm messing with this, and you see it's kind of hard to fit 3 goats on this card. So I do end up going with only 2 of the goats, but it's nice to have that 3rd one as an option. So anyway, just wanted to let you know, I do end up adding from the whole herd heat embossed in the bottom of this. I just wanted to add something else down there. That's one thing with Lawn Fawn cards. I a lot of times have somewhat of a plan, but I'm just never completely sure until I start laying it out what I really want to do. So I added from the whole herd. So the sentiment is, hey there, from the whole herd. And you can see I'm looking at my options for sentiments. That one is from the tiny farm. I hope you enjoyed this card. I had so much fun making it with you. I've got a couple of up-close pictures here of the final product so you can see them. Everything we used in this video is listed in the description. Make sure you give this video a like and hit subscribe to the ScrapbookPal channel. I would love to see you here again. Have a great day. Bye.